Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide, and for the last few weeks there's been a firestorm across Spectrum, Reddit, YouTube, and elsewhere about the loss and recovery of account-linked items. Admittedly, I've seen many controversial topics flare up over the years that I have been involved in the project, including even starting a couple of them on my own on Spectrum, but this seems exceptional in its duration and intensity. When starting this channel, I made a decision that I would never complain about something without offering the way I think it ought to be done better, and to not just repeat what others are saying, but to offer something more. That's why this might seem being a little late to the party, but I wanted time to really consider the scope of the issue and what is and isn't needed. And frankly, I rejected some of my first ideas and early scripts. Now, almost from the beginning of the project, CIG has awarded in-game items, some useful, some trivial, for certain milestones, certain annual events, certain levels of contribution to the game, bundled with purchasing specific ships and vehicles, and paying monthly subscriptions. So getting this right isn't just an issue of game mechanics. It is an issue with the credibility and perceived value of a not inconsequential part of the fundraising model of the project. But the current issue started with an evolution in game mechanics. The start of the issue was the new Tier 0 medical, death, inventory, persistence, looting systems. In particular, that when you were defeated, anything you had with you when you were respawned regenerated would be left behind, rather than just the weapon in hand, and you would have to go back and get it, and until then, it would be available for others to grab. Now, bear in mind that this has to do with nearly any death, and there are a lot of ways to die in the verse, many, if not most of them, being CIG's doing with bugs and server problems. Obviously, with this change, any item that didn't get left behind when you died or couldn't be stolen from you would be a huge advantage. And these rewards were never portrayed as a huge advantage and thus pay to win. So it was pretty much a forced move. If you brought them out of your home inventory or wore them or carried them, they had to be left behind if you had to be regenerated, and could be stolen from you if you were incapacitated. Except, of course, that was never understood to be a part of the deal. These were promised as a recognition for supporting the project or being a long-term backer. None of that has changed just because someone died in the game. Why should they lose their recognition for it? Maybe way down in the fine print there may have been some disclaimer, but that does not mean that anybody thought that these recognition items would be that quick to be lost. So that's it in a nutshell. For game balance, it has to disappear, but for the integrity of the funding model, it can't be for long. But that still leaves off another matter, one that is not being given as much attention as it should. And that is the matter of stolen valor. What is stolen valor? To give a real-world, and thus certainly far more serious example, let's say you inherited your parents' or grandparents' Purple Heart medal. Nothing wrong with that. But if you were to wear or present it as if you actually earned it, then it would be regarded as an affront of the highest magnitude, and if you did it in order to get some benefit in the U.S., you could be jailed for a year in federal prison. To give you an idea of how universal the condemnation of stolen valor is, the current version of the Stolen Valor Act passed the House 390-3 and the Senate by unanimous consent during the contentious years of the Obama administration. Now, of course, in-game items are far less serious matter, but the fundamental source of the feelings is the same. Somebody is running around in, for example, a top hat and monocle, pretending to be a big-time backer, essentially on my money, while I, who actually did pay high Admiral bucks, can't. In addition, it means that if it is possible to steal and wear somebody's top hat and monocle, then people might doubt it when I wear mine, even though I did earn it. And that goes for any bit of unique recognition, not just the top hat and monocle. My point is that few people have been talking about the stolen valor factor, yet any solution that does not address the stolen valor angle is going to feel unsatisfying, because it is such an irritant. On the other hand, the thing that folks have been talking way more than I think they need to are attempts to come up with a diegetic explanation. You know, the police found it and returned it. There's a shop where you can rebuy the items. There's an insurance program. Whatever. The point is that for virtually all of these donor rewards, subscriber flair, etc., there is no diegetic reason for the existence of these items in the first place. So you don't need to have any diegetic reason for returning them. They mysteriously showed up in inventory as a fun reward, and they can mysteriously be returned for exactly the same reason. This even includes in-game rewards. For example, the Vandal Mask. You kill a certain number of players, and players is a concept with no in-game world meaning, and then for some explanation it has to be with just one ship, and then, ta-da, a Vandal Mask. Why? Just because. So it can be returned just because. In fact, it would be better because trying to come up with an explanation for that which does not need an explanation just gets you wrapped up in all the resulting contradictions, and then trying to solve those contradictions gets in the way of the best solution. Honestly, a lot of my early thoughts about a solution were also in-game diegetic, but they all fell into a mess as soon as you poke them with a logic stick. So, as promised, my solution. First, any account-linked item that is looted or otherwise not in the possession of its assigned owner will automatically and irreparably be given the maximum wear level. So, sure, you can loot my top hat, but if you put it on, it will look like this. Nobody will mistake it for the real thing, so it addresses the Stolen Valor issue. Now, you might say the criminals might make the battered top hat its own status symbol, as in, look at me, I beat a big-time backer and stole his prissy hat. And you know what? I have nothing against it, since it is 100% accurate and an earned thing. So it goes from being stolen valor to earned valor, at least among the criminals. And then what I suggest for retrieving the items is to skip the game world entirely. There should be on the My Account page of the website, right under where it says Character Reset, a link labeled Account Item Reset. Just like Character Reset, your account will be temporarily blocked while the data is refreshed, which makes sense technologically and prevents tactical use of the feature. In addition, there would be a 1-week cooldown timer before allowing another item reset. That way, players can feel in control to decide for themselves which losses are significant enough for them to want to recover it promptly, or whether they want to wait until they have a more important item to recover along with it. And one additional thing. When loot selling becomes a thing, as is expected in 3.16, account-linked items should not carry an extraordinary price, even if the item is, by definition, of limited supply. You don't want to give a profit potential for targeting particular players, because you don't want to have your best backers become targets just because they are bigger and early backers. Although this flies in the face of economics, since scarcity increases perceived value, it is a necessary thing for game fairness. And of course, the automatic wear state justifies it somewhat. So that's my solution. I think it will be a more satisfying solution to the backers because it addresses the Stolen Valor issue and gives them a sense of control over how fast their most valued items get returned. The most complicated part of implementing it will be adding the wear states to things which may not have them yet, but they can start with the items most likely to be carried and thus lost. Now to shout out to the inaugural members of Ray's Crew. Thank you. You guys are all wearing top hats in my book. To join Ray's Crew, follow the join button below, which segues nicely into the Grow the Channel ship giveaway for the Anvil Liberator. As of recording, we are about 1/3 of the subscriber goal and about 4% of the membership goal to get one lucky subscriber, the Anvil Liberator, the shipping ship for shipping your ships. To enter, be a subscriber and comment somehow including the secret word. Members are entered automatically. And the secret word for this video is the item which I used as an example of Stolen Valor in the game. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.